everyone. Welcome to Writer of the Week. Today we're here with Rebecca Rodarte, author of Dating in the Desert and the Sassy Heroine How-To series. She's an indie romance writer and creator of Sassy How-To guides designed to empower women. She began her writing career in journalism and has worked as a radio reporter for the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. She has held numerous jobs in publishing, marketing, and public relations, where she has always striven to learn new skills and keep up with today's rapidly changing technologies. Welcome, Rebecca. How are you?
I'm great, Melissa. How are you?
Great. So we're going to start off with you reading an excerpt from your How to Be Your Own Sassy Heroine book.
Great, yes. How to Be Your Own Sassy Heroine. Are you reeling from a devastating breakup or divorce? Are you wondering if you're ever going to feel better? Are you on the verge of downloading the newest dating app so you can quickly find someone else? But what if being single just takes a little imagination? Could you see yourself as the star of your own story? Just like heroines in romantic comedies, how could you start pushing through the dark phase to finally end up as a sassy and smiling heroine? Think of a female character you love from one of your favorite movies or books. As her story opens, you see her stumbling, muttering under her breath, and second-guessing herself. As her story continues, you see how she begins to resolve some of her problems. She is making positive changes, one step at a time. By the end of the story, you see her transform into a smiling and sassy heroine. By sassy, I mean someone who is confident, strong, and sure of herself. She is striding with confidence into a new life. She knows who she is, what she wants, and where she's going. What did you love about her journey? Did she learn some snappy dialogue? Does she have a new hair-flipping, carefree attitude? Is it the way she learned to stand up for herself? Did she start asking a simple question like, what do I want? True story. I binge-read countless romantic comedies when I was first divorced. I could easily find myself lost in 3 books a night. On weekends, I binged on an endless supply of lighthearted Netflix movies. I escaped into a world of romance and happy ever after endings. I'm sure there are those who would say I could have coped in a better way. To those people, I say I could have also coped in a worse way. Reading books and watching movies gave me comfort. I started reading stories faster and faster just to get to the end. I began fast-forwarding movies from the opening scenes to the pivotal life-changing scenes and finally to the satisfying end. Story after story, I needed to know how the central character solved her problems and changed her life. One day I realized I wanted to be the sassy heroine at the end of the story. But after almost a decade sharing my life with another, I had no idea how to put him behind me and move on. I didn't know what I liked or what I wanted. Was there a script I could follow? I started by slowing down and studying the stories I read and watched. Next, I let my imagination soar. How did I want my life to go? What was I doing? How was I doing it? How did I look? What was I saying? Little by little, I not only started to see myself as a sassy heroine, I started acting like one. Your turn. Do you think you can become your own sassy heroine? I think so.
So you have 3 books published. Can you tell us about the backstory of how they came about?
Yes. So my first story is Dating in the Desert. It was a romantic comedy I wrote during a very long and hot Arizona summer. I had just been on an online date and I was tired of the scene completely. I wanted to read a book about people who went on dates and going back to that kind of old-fashioned 3 dates before you decide whether this is the person you want to move on with and continue to share a relationship with. And as I discovered, there wasn't anything out there to read. The biggest, most popular book at the time was Shades of Grey, about a woman who took 200 pages to decide whether she wanted to be a sex slave or not. I said, that isn't really, what I want. And I just want something that's kind of sweet and romantic. So taking a look at the books that were out there, I didn't really see one that's was particularly good for me. So I just wrote what I wanted to write. And it's basically a book about a couple who meet. They go on 3 dates. The man is a gentleman for once. And, it's happy ever after. Very simple and, a short read. And then from there, I wrote How to Be Your Own Sassy Heroine, simply because I know that I want to write as many books as I can with sassy heroines, but I also want other people to write as many books as they can, or to write that iconic character, like Breakfast at Tiffany's, Holly Golightly. She's a very, she's an iconic character, and I think we need more of those strong sassy heroines in literature. So that's why I wrote that book. And then it just kind of evolved into the next book I decided to write, which was called How to Be Your Own Sassy Heroine, and that's based on my divorce. It's full of relevant scenarios taken from real life and true stories, and it's just a way to give women time to read in a very quick format. It's a 45-minute read, and there's lots of reflection questions that I ask them. And it just gives them opportunities to think about the scenarios, think about the real life story, and then think about maybe how they can start to apply some of the sassy tips in their own life.
So can you tell us what exactly a sassy heroine is?
So a sassy heroine, in my definition, is a woman who is strong and confident and sure of herself. She also is somebody who knows how to think for herself, make her own decisions, and she's also able to respond to the world in everyday situations with her own intelligence and wit.
So what I like about your books is they put such a positive feel-good spin on the process of redefining, rebuilding, and branding who we are. Is this something that is innate to you, or did it evolve over time?
Yes, it's definitely evolved. I mean, I wish that I had been a sassy heroine when I first got married and when I was first getting divorced, but I wasn't. I really didn't know some very small things like, well, how did I want my bedroom to be decorated now that it's all me? And I think with each stage over the years, I've learned little by little how to just ask small questions, ask myself more so what it is that I want, and I keep going back to the same tips for each different life challenge that pops up.
And how are your sassy heroine how-to books different from other self-help books on the market?
Well, for one, they are very short reads. Amazon labels them as a 45-minute read. And they're also designed to empower women. It's not your dummies book. It's not your idiot's guide. It's relating in a very personal way with true stories and giving them scenarios that they can relate to so that they can start easily applying some of the tips to their own life. And they can do that by reading the book in chunks while they're on their commute, while they're taking a break at lunch, while they're sitting getting their hair done. It can be done at any time.
So how has writing these books impacted your daily life, and how does the writing process empower you?
Well, I'm a creative person, and I'm also someone who likes to problem solve. So when I'm writing the books, it basically helps me to feel like I'm in control in some way in my own world. And I hope that I'm able to share my advice with other people, and that's also empowering, and that in turn, I can also help other women to, become stronger, more confident, and then they can pass those lessons on to other women as well.
So how do you get your creative wheels turning, and what other books are you working on?
So basically, I use the thought bubble process where every day I listen to conversations and I look at funny posts on Facebook. And sometimes I think everything sounds so ridiculous that I have to write it down. And by the end of the day, I have probably a whole bunch of those little cloud bubbles that you'd see in a cartoon dancing above my head. And I just have to get home and I just have to write it all out. The next book I'm working on is the next chapter of How to Be Your Own Sassy Heroine. This time it's about what questions to think about when you're getting into a relationship, and how can you maintain the identity that you've worked on so hard as a single person, and have that still be part of your life. So how can you integrate both? The book is going to be written in the same format with scenarios and just critical questions. Again, like, how do you share a closet? Because it's always been about me for so long. And I think it's just those real life questions that we need to ask. Those are the questions that kind of start arguments sometimes. And I think it would be a really good handy book for women who are considering getting involved again with someone else. The second chance.
I love that, a second chance. And what advice do you have for other writers?
Well, basically, if you're writing fiction, I would say, if you have an idea, just start working on it. Just maybe put up a blog or do something every day that's going to give you 350 words down and published. And that way you will feel like you're making small steps towards a larger plan. If you're interested in working on nonfiction, I would recommend taking a journalism course. That's my background, and it's really helped me tremendously in both fiction writing and nonfiction writing, because I learned how to ask questions, do the research, and then meet a deadline every day.
So this is going to be fun. I'm going to give you some scenarios, and can you tell us how a sassy heroine would deal with them?
Okay.
So the first one is she finds out that her boyfriend has an active profile on a dating site.
So that one is interesting, and of course it's not uncommon. I think my sassy advice would be to just think about it and let it simmer for a while. Don't confront the boyfriend right away, because then there's just too much anger, and I don't think that works for anybody. And I think as a sassy heroine, it's really important to be like sassy and cool and calm. And in that case, almost like a sassy heroine detective, get him to tell you the truth, but not in anger. And just be very casual in the conversation. I like to think of it like, you're just standing there, maybe, having a drink, and then you just kind of drop it into the conversation like, so so-and-so told me that your profile is still active. And so what's that all about?
So the next scenario is the sassy heroine is asked to give a talk to female entrepreneurs on live television on a show being broadcast to millions of viewers. How does she handle that, and what does she do?
So that one, I think that, again, it's going back to taking a page from a romantic comedy or from a movie where you watch a female heroine entrepreneur go through that. But this also sounds like the end of the movie. It's like the final scene, because if she's already an entrepreneur, then she's already gone through all the struggles to get her there. And this is really the final closing moment, and it's her shining moment. So I think it's probably really a matter of, okay, you have to go into that situation seeing yourself as the sassy heroine in that movie and deliver just like that.
And there you have it. To learn more about how to live like a sassy heroine, you can find links to Rebecca's website, rebeccarodarte.guru, as well as her books on Amazon in the description below the video. It's been a pleasure talking with you today, and we wish you a lot of success with your books.
Thank you, Melissa.